Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the Jurassic World Legacy Collection, Dr. Alan Grant, and the Velociraptor from Mattel. That's right, alongside all of the brand new Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom toys, we're also getting these new Legacy Collection figures, which are all based on the very first Jurassic Park movie from the 90s. I thought that was pretty amazing. Now, the Legacy Collection is exclusive to Target stores, and there's a pretty cool collection of dinosaurs and some of those key characters from that film. So these two I'm looking at today are actually sold separately, but I thought it would be pretty cool to show Dr. Grant and a Velociraptor in the same video because, you know, they kind of work together. Plus, Dr. Grant was the only figure I actually found at my local Target, so that's what we've got for this video here. You'll notice the packaging these guys come in is slightly different than the standard Jurassic World stuff. It's got a bit of a different color scheme. You'll notice Dr. Grant comes on a blister card. Behind him is kind of that more classic version of the Jurassic Park entrance, though it does still have the Jurassic World logo. It just says Legacy Collection. It even has that classic T-Rex in the background. And the Velociraptor comes in the same style kind of open box packaging we've seen for all of the Jurassic World dinos from Mattel. So let's go ahead and open up both of these figures and get a good look at them. So we'll go ahead and start with Dr. Grant here. And very similar to the other figures in the Jurassic World line, like the Owen that we looked at, the figure is in that 4-inch scale. So you'll see we're right there, just underneath, just shy of a full 4 inches on Dr. Grant. And the construction of the figure with the articulation and everything, very similar to all the figures. But let's look at this head sculpt here real quick. I want to get real close in here. It's worth noting the hat is not removable. It is part of the sculpt. And the sculpt is interesting. I'm not sure exactly. Okay, so it looks decent, right? It's a decent likeness. But I don't know if it's painted weird or what, but it's a little odd looking. I guess that's the best way to explain it. From some angles, it looks worse than others. Like, kind of head on right there, that's a pretty good likeness. But when we look at it from the side, there's definitely something a little funky going on there. So it's not quite as good as that Chris Pratt likeness we saw in the Owen figure, but it's okay. It's an okay likeness. And it is pretty cool getting representation of these characters from the classic film from the 90s. Otherwise, same kind of articulation we've seen on those other figures. We've got those elbows there that can swivel as well as bend. Nothing else on the rest of the arm. We can swivel at the waist. So you got the nice hinge joints at the thighs, forwards, backwards movement. Swivel at the knee, and bend at the knee. So it's not super posable by any means, but it is actually a pretty posable little figure still on its own. And you can see it's done nicely. The paint is pretty basic, but it's bright and colorful. It looks nice. The paint is nice and clean on there. He does come with a few minor accessories. So he's got himself a little flare gun. He doesn't really have a trigger finger, which is a bit of a bummer, so he can hold on to the handle. It looks a little big in his hand, and I know flare guns are big, but because of the fact he doesn't really hold into the trigger there, it does look a little strange in his hands. And then the next thing he comes with is this tiny little dino, whose name I can't remember, and it's not on the box, so I apologize. Feel free to tell me the name of this dino in the comments. But all of the Legacy Collection figures come with different versions of these little guys, and you can see he's designed in such a way that he's meant to, like, clasp onto the figure. Like, look at this. It's like he can just grab onto his arm or his leg or anything like that. So on his own, he doesn't really stand or anything. You can kind of just balance him, but he's definitely meant to, like, be grabbing onto your figures like that, which I thought was pretty funny. So let's move on over to the Velociraptor. Now, I already took a look at the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom Owen and Blue 2-pack, so if you haven't already seen that video, check it out. If you have, it is very much worth noting that the Velociraptor in the Legacy Collection is the exact same sculpt as what we saw with Blue the Velociraptor. He just has a different paint deco. And I will say that the paint deco is really nice. It's definitely kind of harkening more back to those brighter colors we saw from the original Jurassic Park movie, especially like kind of reminds me of the old Jurassic Park toys a little bit. So the articulation is still really nice. It functions very well. You can see we got that ball-like hinge at the neck so the head can swivel as well as move up and down for a good range of motion. We can open the jaw, which you got to do with a dinosaur toy. I love that. Same kind of hinge-like joints at the shoulders so the arms can go outwards, upwards, downwards, just like that. Good range of motion there. But then the only other articulation we have is in the legs, which is spring-loaded because it's an action feature. So the way that this works, it's like a pouncing mechanic, and the way you make that work is you actually basically make the raptor look like he's sitting down on the ground, and then when you let him go, he jumps! He pounces, he attacks. It works surprisingly well. It is a bit funny you have to make him sit down. Like, sit raptor, good raptor. No, don't attack, I said sit! But it works pretty well, I love that. So pretty fun stuff. But I want to go ahead and do a quick little comparison here, just to show him standing next to Blue, so you can see the difference between the two figures. It's all in the paint deco. Everything else seems to be pretty much exactly the same between the two raptors. But hey, it's still a good sculpt, and you can build out quite a cool little raptor collection that way. But here's a really fun one. It's comparison time, because one of the very few original Kenner Jurassic Park toys that I have is one of the Velociraptors. So here's that original one from Kenner, standing alongside this new one from Mattel. The difference is definitely in the size. That Kenner one is still a little bit bigger. It's also darker colored. However, I will say that the sculpt of the new one, the shape of it, looks a little more accurate to the shape of the Raptors from the film. But still, man, I love those vintage Kenner dinos. They are such great toys, and it's fun looking at these two side by side. I really wish I had a vintage Kenner Alan Grant to do a comparison time. Unfortunately, I do not. So that is all I can show you there today. But my friends, that is a look at the new Legacy Collection Dr. Alan Grant and the Velociraptor. Also in the series is Ellie. I think there's an Ian Malcolm coming, which will be an absolute must-have. And there's a few dinos in the Legacy Collection packaging as well. Like I said, those are all Target exclusives. So if you want to pick up any figures from this particular lineup here, you're going to have to head to those Target stores. So happy hunting, my friends. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button, leave me a comment, let me know what you think of these guys, and don't forget to subscribe because I got more Jurassic World reviews on the way. Until next time, my friends.